Speaker, for protecting me. Again, my name is Nnenna Elendu, Ukeje, member representing Bende Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Abia State. I shall speak to my dear colleagues who have been raising points of order on this motion. And the reason that I am very shocked that it can come from any of us who are indeed the bastion of our democracy is that this is the cradle of our democracy. As Mr. Speaker has pointed out, our democracy rests on a tripod. The National Assembly, the Judiciary, and the Executive. Everybody says that the National Assembly is the most important organ of government in any democracy. The chambers of the Senate, we normally would refer to them as the hallowed chambers, were desecrated in the most disgraceful manner when the Senate was invaded by hoodlums. Mr. Speaker, we offered echo, we offered commitment, there was a national outcry. But it was an onslaught not only of the people who sat in the Senate chambers, but in 180 million Nigerians who are represented by those 109 members of the Senate. They are the voices of the Nigerian people. Mr. Speaker, why do we revere the judiciary in every democracy? They are the voice of the common man. They are the people, they're the places where we run to for succor when we feel that our rights have been infringed upon. Mr. Speaker, if the collective voice of the people has been attempted to be silenced, and the place where the people run to for succor when things like this happen has been desecrated, then the question becomes that as we seek to tear down our institutions, do we actually want a democracy? A democracy is government, as they say, of the people, by the people, for the people, that rests on the rule of law. Any democracy for the people, by the people, that does not rest on the rule of law is not a democracy. Any democracy where the people do not choose and where they do not have a platform to raise their voices is not a democracy. Any democracy where the institutions, rather than being built up, are being broken down, ceases to be a democracy. Mr. Speaker, my concern is that Nigeria, of course, in 1999 went from what we used to call a nascent democracy to a fledgling democracy. In the last 4 years, it was just referred to as a democracy. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, we must also start to qualify our democracy as a democracy on the brink, because our institutions are being desecrated. Mr. Speaker, sir, the job of all of us sitting down here as leaders is for us to sell hope to the people, for us to sell Nigeria to the people. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, I am very sad to say the shelves are getting empty and we're running out of that commodity. If the average man does not have a place to go to, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have taken away the very soul of our existence. Mr. Speaker, they call for an investigation, and I agree that we should investigate. But more than that, Mr. Speaker, what we saw was enough for us to carry this motion to some conclusion. I saw people, there were gunshots in the air, and there were people throwing stones. I thought it was Gaza. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue like this. Do we collectively as a people, whoever it was, whether it was the factions of APC, they are leaders. All of us here are leaders. We're all beneficiaries of this democracy. It is our responsibility to protect this democracy. So while we speak to the police and we speak to whomsoever, we must also introspect that as leaders, do we actually believe in this democracy? Do we want this democracy to continue? Are we going to tear down our democracy against the 180 Nigerians who celebrated our democracy when it started? My dear colleagues, this is not about technicalities. It's not about points of order. It's not about showing our legislative intellect. It's about realizing that we must, as leaders, protect our democracy and call out anybody who seeks to tear it down. Thank you.